Hello. Welcome back to Carpooling with Jesus. I'm Pastor Justin, and maybe you're headed to school, maybe you're finishing breakfast, or just hanging out at home. Wherever you are, I'm thrilled you're joining me. We are marching through stories from the Bible, stories that Jesus would have learned about when he was a kid. Today, we're talking about standing strong, even when it's not easy. Have you ever been in a situation where everybody was doing something, but you knew it wasn't right? That's exactly what happened to Daniel and his friends. Our verse for today comes from the book of Daniel in the Old Testament, chapter 1, verse 8. And here's what it says. But David resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and wine. Now, that might sound like a confusing verse, but don't worry about it. We're going to break it down and see what it means. Daniel was just a kid when he and his friends were taken from their home in Israel to live in Babylon. Everything changed. They got new names, new clothes, and even new food that wasn't all that good. The king wanted them to eat fancy royal meals, but there was a problem. Those foods went against what God had told his people to eat. Daniel and his friends had a choice: go along with everyone else or stand strong in their faith. And guess what? They chose to follow God. Instead of eating the king's food, they asked for vegetables and water. That might not sound like a big deal, but it was. It was their way of saying, we trust God no matter what. And do you know what happened? After 10 days, Daniel and his friends looked healthier and stronger than all the other young men eating the king's food. God honored their faithfulness. If Jesus was sitting with us right now, I'd think he'd smile and say, standing up for what's right isn't always easy, but I promise that I'm with you in small choices and in big choices. When you trust me, I will give you the strength you need. Jesus reminds us that following him means making choices that honor God, even when it feels hard or different from what others are doing. The little choices we make every day, like being honest, kind, or saying no to something we know is wrong, matter to him. Let me tell you a story about my friend Josh. Josh loved playing basketball. He was really good at it. And one day at practice, one of the kids started making fun of another teammate for missing a basket. They laughed and whispered mean things about him. Josh knew it wasn't right, but it felt awkward to say something. He started to think to himself, what if they started making fun of him too? But then he remembered a lesson he learned about being kind and standing up for others, even though it's hard. He looked at the guys on the team and said, hey, let's not do that. Everyone messes up sometimes. The teasing stopped, and later that teammate told Josh, thanks for standing up for me. It meant a lot. Just like David, Josh chose to do the right thing, even when it wasn't easy. And guess what? God honored his courage. Standing strong in your faith, no matter how small the situation, shows others what God's love looks like. So friends, here's something to think about. What's one way you can stand strong in your faith this week? Maybe it's choosing kind words, saying no to something you know is wrong, or standing up for a friend. And don't forget, no matter where you are or how you're listening, God loves you. Hey parents, if your kids ever have Bible stories or topics you'd love to hear on the podcast, message us on Instagram. We would love to hear it. Now, here's a question for you to talk about before you move along with your day. When was a time you had to make a tough choice to do the right thing? Can't wait to see you tomorrow on Carpooling with Jesus.